Hi, I'm sci-fi fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in your head. And I want to talk today about Star Wars versus Star Trek. Or to paraphrase an old Wendy's TV commercial, why the beef? The more I look into this, the more I realize that most people like both of these properties just fine. It's just that they tend to prefer one over the other for various reasons. For a lot of the fans that like Star Trek more than Star Wars, they like their sci fi a little more rooted in hard science, a little more technical. Okay. And they'll be the first ones to remind you that, well, warp drive is theoretically possible, which lends Star Trek an air of legitimacy that Star Wars simply can't match. Whatever. Okay, those of us that prefer Star Wars, I like both, obviously, from the shirt, the ships on the wall, but I prefer Star Wars because I'm more, like a lot of us, into space opera, which are large, sweeping stories set in space with sciency elements. And those of us that like that, we don't mind the odd space wizard popping up every now and then. We'll also be the first ones to remind you, Star Trek fans, that while yes, warp drive is theoretically more possible than hyperspace, it also would require the energy output of a star over its entire lifetime for the math to work. So you might as well call it magic. So, in short, Trekkers are more into space lizards, and Star Wars fans are more into space wizards. But the majority of us like both just fine. So, where does the legend of the beef come from? Well, no surprise. Largely, it's manufactured by a group of Sour Patch Kid fans that we like to call gatekeepers. And with any fandom, you've got good guys and bad guys. And the bad guys generally tend to be gatekeepers. Every fandom has them, and they all suck. Now, gatekeepers are basically fans who have appointed themselves as guardians over what is and isn't allowed in the fandom, and sometimes even in the lore, for you to be considered a true fan. Nobody asked them to. They just decided to. And that's the problem. They're a pain in the tuchus for everybody. And they're largely self appointed. So that means that they're largely self important. And that's the key. So do like I do. These people can safely be ignored, and you can have fun with your fandom anyway. What do you think? Are gatekeepers a problem in the fandoms that you enjoy? Let's talk about it in the comments. And tune in next time when I get to be LaVoice in your head.